Hello and good morning. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Jackson Root. We'll get started in just a minute. Sit back, sit tight, get comfortable, and we'll go through our presentation here in just a few. Thank you again for joining us this morning. We'll get started in just a minute. Also, thank you for the comment on the live transcription. I've just enabled it, so we'll have the live transcription running throughout the webinar. All right, let's go ahead and get started with today's webinar. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Zoomtopia 2022, which is a super cool event. You know, we're very happy to have been able to go back last week to the live Zoomtopia event. Again, my name is Jackson Root. I'm the Content Creative Marketing Manager here at DTEN. I'm joined this morning by Scott Krickerberg, our Head of Strategic Alliances, and Mark Berrigan, Head of Zoom Rooms North America at Zoom. So the three of us are going to go through Zoomtopia 2022 from the lens of both DTEN and Zoom. So we're going to talk a little bit about some important announcements that we saw at the show. We're going to jump into hybrid work. We're going to talk a little about the state of hybrid work today that we're seeing. We're going to take a deep dive into some new technology and solutions from DTEN and Zoom. And then lastly, we're going to go through a bit of a preview of what's coming next. So you may have seen some new things announced during the keynote at Zoomtopia, and DTEN has some really great solutions for some of these new features that are on the horizon. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. So just as a point of order, we have disabled the chat for this webinar. So if you do have any questions, please direct them to the Q&A function. Some we'll pull out as we go. Others will be answering at the end. We'll have a little bit of time for it at the very end of the webinar. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So before we go through, just one thing to keep in mind is we're going to be talking about a lot of things that are on the horizon, a lot of new features, some technology that might change a little bit between what we talk about today and what we actually will see when it becomes live. So just kind of keep that in mind. This is just a little bit of a disclaimer about that. So with that, I'm going to hand off to Scott Krickerberg, our Head of Strategic Alliances at DTEN, excuse me. He's going to talk a little bit about our relationship with Zoom.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jackson. Mark, how are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. So, you know, one thing about DTEN and Zoom, we have been partners in collaboration since 2017. Our D7 all-in-one device was the flagship device for Zoom Rooms for Touch. So we have been innovating and bringing modern solutions to your meeting spaces for 5 years. And one thing we really do with Zoom is align on the development, on the engineering of our devices, so we can bring these exceptional use cases like workspace reservations and the Zoom Rooms to life. And we're known for our simplicity, the power of the devices, and the value you get for choosing DTEN as that end-to-end solution, a single vendor to bring a complete unit of Zoom spaces and to be able to deploy those successfully.
And just to add on that is, you know, here at Zoom, obviously we're a UCaaS company, so we don't develop any hardware. So working with DTEN has been, you know, a joy, and also the power of working with a world-class hardware organization like DTEN allows us to focus on the software and then bring the magic together with the DTEN hardware. And that's what our customers are experiencing now. And you're going to see today during this presentation all the different things that we've done now moving forward to enable hybrid work. So a lot of exciting stuff that was released at Zoomtopia.
So speaking of Zoomtopia, you know, I think it'd be really great to take a minute and just talk a little bit about what we saw at the show, maybe recap some highlights that we saw and just some reactions from actually being in person again at Zoomtopia 2022. I have a picture here of this tower of cupcakes that was at the show. So with that, Scott, Mark, what are some of the amazing things that you saw at Zoomtopia that you'd like to discuss right now?
Yeah, there was certainly a lot of energy because I think, having the past couple of years doing it virtually, there was a lot of excitement from the audience wanting to get back in person and see things and touch and feel all the products out there. And that just made it more real. And it was really cool to get back and see a lot of our customers interact this way. So a lot of excitement, a lot of questions as well. Seems like the customer base isn't all there back to the office quite yet, but everyone's asking the same questions on what does a hybrid work environment look like, as I know we're going to dive into today. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously overall it was great just to feel that energy in person, like you said, and to have people, experience devices. One thing I've always said, right, Mark, is with D10, you need to touch it, right? The in-person experience with rooms and a touch screen and the devices, right? It's unmatched. And that's why we have such a powerful, trial program together. That's why we've had so much success in deploying devices to customer sites, is because, once you experience that Zoom Rooms for Touch environment, it's hard to go back, right? And not have collaboration tools and annotation and to see people interacting with devices for the first time, right? Because a lot of Zoom customers are new to the party since the pandemic, and now they're exploring how do we return, what's the technology that you guys recommend for us to deploy this hybrid work strategy, and to offer them an opportunity to click on things and whiteboard and draw and annotate and see the powerful cameras, right? I think it's just makes such a difference in what we're trying to do with our solutions, right? Compared to, just trying to explain it in a video or a slide deck. So just a lot of opportunity, I think, a lot of excitement from Zoom customers on what's next, right? And how can we get more involved with Zoom Rooms?
Very cool. Yeah, and you're seeing some photos here of the actual D10 booth at Zoomtopia. And also they had a hands-on lab there on the show floor where folks were invited to come and interact with D10 Me's during live presentations behind. So you can see a bank of D10 Me, that's our 27-inch all-in-one device on all the desks there. So pretty amazing opportunities to engage with the technology at the show. So with that, I think it'd be nice to talk a little bit about what we're seeing in hybrid work, right? Because there are a lot of things happening there. As Mark pointed out a minute ago, we're not all back to work yet. A lot of us are still very much working in either a remote, like myself, or a hybrid fashion. And I think a lot of the statistics that we're seeing in some of the recent Gallup polls are certainly telling that story as well. So, certainly folks, it seems like prefer to work remotely. So you can see 91% of remote capable workers prefer to work at least part of the time at home. So that's a pretty telling factor, is keeping your employees happy and working the way that they feel that they work best. You can see that 82% of company leaders, right? They want to embrace that, and certainly 85% feel like this is the new normal, is hybrid work, where we're not always in the office 9 to 5, but somewhere in between, right? And I think that that's really where the future is going. So a lot of the technology that we're going to be talking about today helps to deliver that work experience. So one thing that we talk a lot about at D10 is this collaboration equity. And this is a term that we like to define as building a culture that fosters inclusion and fairness, where every team member has equal ability to participate and contribute, right? So it's providing opportunities for everybody to collaborate and contribute, whether they're at home, whether they're actually in the room, whether they're an in-meeting participant or a remote participant. And technology can do a lot to help provide this collaboration equity. So Scott, you want to tell us a little bit more about how we can help to build this culture of collaboration in our hybrid workplaces?
Right. Yeah, and I think the theme, during the pandemic, when everyone was forced to be at home, right? The first challenge was meeting equity, right? And how is everyone presented in the meeting? Who has equal positioning within that meeting? So if you're remote, if you're in the room, right, everyone has this equality across the meeting experience. And really that was kind of step one to get into the key result, which is inclusion and participation. And without collaboration tools, without that tech stack, right, we feel like we're missing a big chunk of the actual goal of the meeting, which is to participate, feel included, and share your ideas, and then to be able to walk away from that meeting feeling productive with next steps, and still have things like your whiteboard or your chat sessions, right, to take with you so you can continue to build on that. So that's why we think collaboration equity is really the end goal, where the meeting equity, the tools to participate and ideate in those meetings all come together to create that 360-degree meeting experience. So how can we help you get there? How can we help you create a culture of collaboration? And there's really three main ways that we're going to focus on today. And one is provide that consistent experience. And that's something Zoom Rooms does, right? That's the anchor, that's the foundation, where whether you're at home, whether you're returning to the lobby, whether you're at a hot desk or a meeting space, right, we can provide a consistent experience and ensure that equal access with Zoom Rooms and a D10 device together. So we'll show you how you can deploy those to check off number one. Then we want to help you reimagine workspaces. And we have traditionally spoken to device managers and IT managers. And now we have this mixed bag of facilities managers and space planners. And it's just much more dimensional when we're working with organizations on how to deploy their technology, and reimagining those facilities and spaces that you have is also paramount to achieving this new culture. Number third is you have to select the technology that's purpose built for these use cases. And that's something D10 and Zoom have done since day one, is meet at the same place with the tech so that you do check off your equal access, your consistent experiences, your access to tools that a few years ago were extremely expensive. You would have to be in a large conference room to have access to those, but we're democratizing them, we're making them accessible. So we'll go through that technology that we've created that's purpose built to help you execute this new culture. And one thing D10 is prepared to do, we are poised to do, is be that single vendor with all the solutions that you're going to need for an entire office, for an entire workspace and workplace strategy, right? Staying hybrid, moving where right now a lot of people are mostly remote. We have the tools for that. But as you plan your strategy to re-enter and create a full office to home mix of hybrid work, we have a single vendor solution to provide the devices. Zoom and D10 can manage those devices and really add simplicity to your entire deployment.
And real quick, what does that mean, end-to-end solution? So it used to be in this space, you put a device in a conference room and that was video conferencing. We've evolved past that now. So with this image right here, you're going to see that, as I walk into the office, there's virtual kiosk. So you can reach out really quickly. Maybe the receptionist isn't going to be working there in the office. Maybe he or she can take on multiple buildings or multiple floors now with this kiosk mode. We're hearing from customers as well now in hybrid. We don't know what hybrid's going to look like. Is it going to be 2 days in the office, 3 days, 4 days? But another common thing we're hearing is when we go back to the office, there's going to be a lot of shared spaces. And when you have a lot of shared spaces, you need a way to be able to schedule those out. So we have workspace reservations now within this ecosystem. And that's what Scott's talking about, is with a D10 device, it can act as a Zoom room, or it can act as a virtual kiosk, or it can act as a workspace reservation canvas. And this is really cool because we have purpose-built software on these devices versus some of our competitors that just do simple URLs on a touchscreen, and it's kind of a kludgy experience. You're going to see that this really is an elegant solution as you're walking back into the office. You're using conference rooms you're reserving your space. It's shareable space now. And it makes them much more effective when you're working in this way. And another common thing we're hearing, just to round it off, our customers are telling us that their employees are saying, if they walk into a room that is not video enabled, why is there not video here? We've never heard this type of response before. In the past, it was maybe we have 10 or 20 video conferencing rooms if we have 100 conference rooms. Now it's like every single one of those spaces needs to be video enabled. And this is a whole new way of work now. And of course, this was due to the pandemic and everybody adopting video more. But now the expectation is going back into the office is getting video everywhere.
Absolutely. So let's address it, right? What are these purpose-built use cases, right? Where can you deploy technology? Let's just go through them one by one so we can, tell this full story and kind of back up the portfolio with what DTEN has done to, empower everyone, right? Empower customers to be able to deploy this strategy. And, Mark, you remember our flagship device, right? That D7. It's that all-in-one first Zoom rooms for touch, where you have the touch screen, the microphone array, the speakers, the camera, and we all remember the first Zoom room, right? Had USB hubs, we had cables all over the room with different peripherals plugged in, and we knew that wasn't the right solution. There was a lot of failure points. There was confusion on how to even use that room. And the first thing we did was completely clean up that situation, right? And give a single device that you can hang on the wall or deploy on a cart, connects to Wi-Fi if you don't have Ethernet access, and really simplified that Zoom Rooms experience, and also, clean up the room and make it so, these demos you guys give are fantastic, where you're pulling cables out and chucking them right on the floor, because that's not what we're all about, right? We're into these highly powerful, simple solutions where you're using voice activation and touch, and you're sharing wirelessly. And that's really what started, our partnership. And then it's exploded and expanded into what you see now, which is a full suite of solutions. So we'll talk about our appliances. We'll talk about our D10 Go with the Mate, on how you can turn an existing display into a Zoom Rooms for touch space. Our super popular D10 Me and the D10 Pro, how we can deploy those for multiple use cases. The onboard, which is relatively new, with adding companion devices to existing rooms. And then finally, we'll talk about the new D7X and that Pro version, and how that's really going to change the future of a more modern conference room.
Yeah, and I'll just really quickly throw out there that these devices, these all-in-ones, these touch devices, used to be very expensive. I know we're not going to talk much about price today, but just want everybody to know that the prices have really come down on these devices. They used to be 3 to 4x the amount of to purchase one of these devices. And thanks to the technology and the way that we're able to scale this, the prices have actually started coming down on these, which makes it a lot more scalable approach for all of our customer base.
Absolutely. So, one thing we had to do was react a couple of years ago, right? We needed to empower the remote worker. We needed to give them the tools that they were used to having in the office, but deploy them at home, right? And still hit that first check mark of meeting equity, of inclusion. But we also brought the collaboration tools at the time a little bit ahead of the trend. And what we did was just supercharge that home, Zoom Rooms user, where this 27-inch all-in-one device can easily sit on their desk. You don't need an additional webcam, microphones, all those things that are all plugged into your laptop. This completely removes that situation and puts you right there on your desk at home with a Zoom Rooms experience that you used to get in the office from a large room. And all of that baked in really empowered those Zoom users to stay included in the conversations, for everyone to meet equally. And now we're seeing, we're rolling out the Meet Pro, where you can drive that experience from your laptop. These Me Pros are hot desks. We've come up with great technology to do these small spaces where people are meeting just 2 or 3 at a time and ideating and knocking these meetings out. So the D10 Me and the Me Pro has been a big hit for both of us, and we'll continue to talk about more use cases where you can put this 27-inch all-in-one to really help deploy that mix of at-home and return to office users. So let's talk about this whole kind of day in the life feel, right, Mark? So a couple days a week, I'm going to be working from home. I've got my Me Pro on my desk. I have access to my meetings and my contacts. I have a whiteboard built in there. But after that, we're going to help our joint customers return to an office environment, into a facility. And you guys have really embraced the Me and the Me Pro as that kiosk and virtual receptionist.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has been, virtual kiosk has really taken off much more than what we thought, because a lot of our customer base are getting creative. It's not just a receptionist. It's how do I connect to the IT team, right? So for example, for us, I sit on the second floor, IT team is on the third floor. Very easy for me to just go up there and do it. But now we have a kiosk. So I just walk up to it, click on IT, and I get routed to somebody. And it may or may not be somebody in the building or one of our IT professionals working from home. So at the end of the day, virtual receptionist or virtual kiosk allows you to get to the expertise that you need right away. It's not just a receptionist application. So, think about facilities teams, think about security, right? Shipping and receiving. It's just a navigation screen that you can get to that personnel very, very quickly. And this is not just for your employees, but it's also for visitors as well. And it's completely customizable. And we've even added, based on a lot of customer feedback, hey, why don't we put videos on there? So maybe the expertise you're trying to get to ends up being not just an individual, but maybe a quick video or a quick little training on what you're trying to find. We could do that now as well. So a lot of really powerful applications that we didn't know that our customers would bring to the table and ask us for features. We've had this out now for about a year, so we've evolved this with quite quickly with a lot of new features, and it's really cool to see it evolve. So what you purchase today is going to be much different in 6 months or 12 months down the road, just via the software updates.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, right? We protect that hardware investment. We future-proof that hardware investment. So not only, is your investment going to go further with, more deployment, more devices, but you're also setting yourself up for, the future of these products and features that Zoom is going to continue to push out to make that device, more interactive, more powerful, and just continue to help you guys succeed with any sort of deployment. And that's what I think is great about virtual receptionist is, like you said, very narrow scope on how this was being thought of. And then boom, our customers have embraced it. And now they're using it for all sorts of contact and stuff internally.
And just really quickly, when we first released it, it was very basic, right? You click on a button and it goes to one of 4 individuals. Now it's integrated all the way to our contact center. So now it's very advanced. You can create advanced call queues, like maybe for IT from 8 to 5 p.m. There's IT folks in the East Coast that take that. And then from 5 to 8 on the West Coast, we can route those calls to a different bank of individuals. So very, very powerful. We could do now with the contact center integration as well with the D10 Me.
Absolutely. So once you re-enter that office, not only do you have the opportunity to contact a virtual receptionist, get checked in, but we're also providing devices for one of my favorite, use cases at the moment, which is workspace reservations. And, you guys have done a phenomenal job with the software, with how easy it is for a person to use it, to navigate it. And really, it's an unmatched experience without that touchscreen at the front, with that touchscreen at the end. And that's really why, a D10 use case for workspace reservation is what we see customers adopting, to deploy this. So you re-enter that lobby, you go up to your floor, regardless of where you are in that facility, you have this workspace reservation map. And just like you said, in the last 6 months, even this map has evolved, right? And it will continue to evolve where with the touchscreen, you get to move around the floor, you get to navigate all the available spaces. You'll see them as if they're busy, if they're available for booking, and how simple is it, right, to pull out your mobile device or use that touchscreen to reserve the space you need and how long you're going to be in there. And once you do that, it's just as easy to arrive to that space and check in. So with that D10 Me Pro, again, that 27-inch device on a hot desk in a hoteling environment where you're sharing that workspace, you enter into that device, right, with your own credentials, your contacts, your calendar for the day, and you're really able to stay productive because you have those tools like whiteboarding and being able to drive that content right into a Zoom room experience.
Yeah, and the power here is really, like you said, Scott, if I use my Zoom client with the QR code to check in via the board here, if there's a D10 Me on the table, not only will it reserve that desk space, but it will configure the D10 Me with my persona, my contacts, my calendar, and my meetings. So it's very powerful for me to just sit down. It feels like I'm working from home. And then when I leave, it checks out, goes right back to being, regular D10 Me. So, if virtual kiosk wasn't fast enough in its growth, this is even faster. Workspace reservation, because I can reserve a space right here from home via my web portal for my Zoom account, or I have my mobile device as well. I can actually have, workspace reservation on there. So wherever I go throughout the campus at Zoom, I have the capability walking up to one of these devices and scheduling out that workspace reservation. And again, what we're seeing with customers is a lot of our IT personnel that we normally work with are quickly bringing in facilities managers and showing them this workspace reservation, and they're working together to deploy this. And so it's really cool to see facilities and IT come together to be able to deploy these applications in the workspace.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we said, that blend is allowing us to do that second point, which is reimagine, right, your facility, reimagine your workspaces and how your employees interact with those. And so this has been a great tool to help get our joint customers to a place where they have an incredible tech stack to reimagine their entire facility. So one of the newer things, right, which we've seen, right, and this kind of lends to my meeting equity, right, being part of the puzzle with collaboration equity. And as we know, right, D10 doesn't expect every customer to rip and replace or abandon their existing investment into some of the hardware that you've already deployed, but we want to supplement that, and we want to bring the tools that you're missing into that environment so you can create that culture of collaboration. And I think one big tool to help do that is the new onboard. And what we've done is purpose-built a 55-inch or 75-inch touchscreen that allows you to host the Zoom Advanced Whiteboard. You can add this as a companion device to any existing space, right? And I think that's the most important part is take the investment you've already made. You might have gone the AV bar route, or you have displays where they're not touch enabled and that those collaboration tools are just not utilized. And what the onboard does is bring that into any room, into any space. And Zoom has done a great job with that behavior, right? If I hit share content, it's on my companion device. If I want to start the whiteboard, it's on my companion device. So we're not hijacking that front of room experience where your meeting equity still exists. There's everyone in the meeting, right? Everyone's equally framed, and now they have tools to collaborate together, right? Take it to the next level and get those ideas across and really bring that meeting 360 with the touch screen and the collaboration tools in the room. Another thing that's picking up steam, Mark, is our Go with Mate. And this is something that we see a lot of customers getting creative with the Go because we have all sorts of great opportunities baked into Zoom rooms with digital signage, right? With the meeting tools, with whiteboarding. There's just so many things available in there And we don't expect you to use a touchscreen 100% of the time, right? We know that there's going to be a mix on technology, but if you have invested in existing displays and they're already there, they're deployed, you want to utilize those displays and maximize what those displays can do for you. And our D10 Go and Mate is the perfect another companion for those displays. And to be able to mount an AV bar on a display and have your microphones and your cameras and everything in there, that's not groundbreaking technology, right? There are options to do that. But what's unique about the Go is you can pair it to a very unique 10-inch tablet, right, that you can hold in your hand. And when you pair those two devices together, you bring the collaboration and the whiteboarding experience into the room, into the palm of your hand, and you can actually annotate and control that entire meeting experience from our Mate tablet. So that can be passed around the room, right? Multiple people are whiteboarding, your remote participants are whiteboarding, and now you have something that's considered an old, right, technology / meeting space is now, boom, caught up to right where we are today with those collaboration tools.
Yeah, and with our new whiteboard, right, this is becoming top of mind for our customers because there's third-party applications out there. But when we created our new whiteboard, we not only wanted to put it on, your laptops and your mobile devices, but we wanted to extend that experience into the room, and this allows us to do that. So it's really cool to see our whiteboard evolve, and that just came out, a while back now. It's less than 6 months old, so that's also going to quickly start evolving with the latest greatest features that we're coming out with, and extending it to the room has always been a challenge. So how do you do that? How do you work with an advanced whiteboard with images and, as you're seeing here, sticky notes? It could be challenging, but with the Go and the Mate, this is the type of product that really lends itself to the advanced whiteboarding capabilities.
And as we talk to more customers, right, everyone's thinking flexibility, right? They used to come to you and say, hey, I think I need this, right? And now it's, I think I need this, but can it do this and this and this as well, right? All this stuff needs to be as flexible as possible. And what's great about the Mate is not only does it work in this room, right, with your collaboration tools, but you also click a button and switch that into Zoom Room controller mode. And that can be your tabletop controller for your Zoom Room. It can be your scheduling display. And it comes with a really nice dock that will sit on the table and allow you to charge that pad and connect wirelessly. Or we have a PoE version for a more permanent install, and that locks in. So this really is the most versatile, tablet in the ecosystem as far as how many different flexible use cases you can lend this to be successful.
And real quick on this one, this was a bit of hit for our EDU customers, and then also in the enterprise for those training room applications. Why is that? Because in the past, those used to be like programmable touch interfaces where you had to bring someone in to custom program them. And, it just was not a good experience for either the instructors or the IT personnel that had to deploy these. This is off the shelf. There is no custom programming. So you put this in a classroom, a training room. This allows you to just right off the bat come out and start, controlling your breakout rooms, controlling your advanced whiteboarding. There's just, it's hard to explain unless you guys actually try one of these on just how effective they could be in the education space as well as in training rooms.
Exactly. And, using the portal, right? This thing can be a meeting device one day. It can deliver digital signage the next day. It can be a kiosk entry point the next day. So, that's just the powerful, Zoom Room experience is how you can easily go in and manage the devices and the experience, right, instantly and constantly be having new use cases for these products. So, what everyone really flocks to, we saw it at Zoomtopia, right? We continue to see this being, the flagship, the real driver around these meeting spaces. And it's still the D7, right? It's, that device that clicks with most customers where they do not want to manage different peripherals and devices from different vendors. The non-touch display is not, enough of a tool in the room. And the D7 continues to bring everything, right? A full 360 experience available to either hang on the wall or bring in a cart. And this was, still is designed and updated exclusively, right, for Zoom. This is your lockdown Zoom room appliance. It does have that simple IO where we're seeing document cameras plugged in, right? We're seeing additional cameras plugged in to help bring that experience 360, but everything is still baked in here with the 4K camera, that 16 microarray, the super responsive touchscreen for your whiteboarding. And that continues to be, the flagship device where we see these deployed into all sorts of meeting spaces, not just 4 walls and a door anymore, right? But these are on carts and they're being moved around facilities. You plug it into the wall, it still connects to Wi-Fi, and you have Zoom rooms, right, for touch at your fingertips.
I mean, so versatile to your point, Scott. I mean, I've even had, things like, putting one of these at a wedding where, you just, someone asks, hey, do you have one of these? And we do, and it lends itself so well. We package it up, take it back. Anyways, but so much more. I don't want also anybody leaving thinking this only works with Zoom. The reality is that there are other meeting platforms out there, and you can join a Teams, meeting with this device. So don't feel like you're locked out, as well as a WebEx or one of the others. So yes, it's obviously running the Zoom firmware, but it doesn't stop us from joining other meeting platforms.
Yeah, and as operating systems, right, continue to vary, right, in device ecosystems. This D7 is Windows based, and that's really where enterprise has embraced the D7 because of the image, right, the networking and security. It can be unique to your organization. The IO can be unique as far as the use case, how you need to deploy this device, and it just continues to be super versatile. But the first support for something like direct guest join was on a Windows device. So the D7 has been delivering direct guest join on Teams and WebEx and now Google, right, for a long time, for over a year. So when you are in an environment where you need to join a different meeting, the D7 is perfect to grab that meeting. It's on your calendar, and you can easily enter into that environment as well.
I think it's a nice segue into talking about the new D7X.
So Mark, I'm sure you got to stop by and check out the new devices on the show floor, right?
Absolutely. This you guys are in for a treat. I mean, I didn't really understand the power of the D7X until I seen it in person in your office. And those cameras are quite amazing. I think all the all-in-ones have on the market have done a good job on a small space. But the cameras and the distance and the space that they could pick up it's game changing.
Absolutely, and it's gonna just kind of contribute to a lot of new use cases that you guys are working on. And towards the end, we'll get into the future and kind of touch on next generation. But this is D10's next generation of what we feel is the most powerful all-in-one collaboration and meeting tool in the market. So let's take a little time to watch this video so you guys can see just how versatile and powerful this device really is.
The D10 D7X transforms any meeting room into a modern video collaboration workspace. D7X combines the newest innovations in video, audio, and touch collaboration technology into a powerful all-in-one solution for today's hybrid work environment. Connect to virtually any video meeting with the D7X's multi-platform design. Simply connect your laptop to a single charging cable to access the D7X's audio, video, and touch technologies from your platform of choice. Or start a meeting with one touch using the D7X's native Zoom capabilities. And for larger meeting spaces, the D7X is ready to pair with companion whiteboards, meeting controllers, additional cameras, and other peripherals. D7X combines enhanced AI with deep learning to deliver next-generation video meetings. The super wide-angle camera with 129-degree field of view captures everyone in the room with 20% better video clarity. And smart framing technology keeps everybody perfectly in frame. Sophisticated D10 audio AI works behind the scenes to reduce distractions and deliver with rich, room-filling sound, with speakers that are 4 times more powerful. The D7X works at the speed of your ideas. With award-winning touchscreen technology, enjoy 30% better touch precision, which provides smooth, natural writing for whiteboarding, annotation, and brainstorming sessions. And the D7X's touchback feature allows you to stay at the board for an uninterrupted workflow. Simply tap the screen for content control. Propel your meeting room into the future. Move forward with D7X.
So two things, right, that I think I walked away from the show from, and one, like you said, was the cameras, right? I don't think that most people have seen this powerful of a camera and video environment, right, in a device so far. But the second one is that touchscreen, right? Purpose building this stuff to support advanced whiteboarding. And it almost scares people a little bit how reactive the touchscreen is compared to some other displays that they've tried in the market. So somebody gets their finger on there, their first scribble, right? They kind of pull their hand off and go, wow, that happens right away. And it's like, yep, we purpose built these devices to support, right, that type of experience. So when you mix all this stuff together, it's kind of fascinating for a lot of people that we've designed this tech together to bring that type of experience.
Yeah, I mean that USB connectivity, USB-C back to the laptop. I mean, there's a lot of great applications for that, right? I mean, I am always a big proponent of wireless screen share and less is more, but there are some cases where I just want to plug in my laptop and to be able to walk up to the board and control it from there. It's just so simple the way you guys set that up. So that was awesome work.
And one thing that's a little deeper dive than usual is it's been rough for Mac users, right, to be involved in kind of a BYOD situation in that environment. Our competitors, you have to download suspect drivers onto your computer and do a lot of things to make that type of work. And that's not the case here, right? One single USB-C connection or powering your laptop, and the touchback allows you to stay at the board and control your laptop right from the screen. So I think it really lends to that mix of staying productive in and outside of a meeting, but still having access right to the tools you need to be hyper productive. So really great stuff from the product team at D10 and all the work the software and the hardware engineers right have put in to bring a truly next generation device to the ecosystem.
So the D7X is, we debuted that at the show at Zoomtopia. I just want to say it is available as of today on D10's website. Of course, you have your favorite D10 representative you work with. They can get you in touch with a device as well. But I think, with the time that we have remaining, it'd be really great to talk about a little bit about some of the new things that still are on the horizon. Right. And we could start off talking a little bit about Intelligent Director, which is a super cool feature. And then we'll kind of lead into a D10 solution that also, will help make the best of this new feature for Zoom rooms and Zoom spaces.
Yeah, and just talking about this, I feel with, what we've done with Smart Gallery in small to medium-sized rooms, and in some cases, some larger rooms on the smaller end of a large room, we've really nailed kind of how do we frame out anywhere from 2 to 12 people, let's say. But the challenge is moving forward is those larger boardrooms or larger conference rooms where you have 16 people in there, up to 20 people. How do we get the best view for the remote participants? And again, this is a big deal. So, some of our rooms, even at Zoom, as we went back into the office and some of us stayed at home, looking into those larger spaces was always like, well, I could tell someone's talking back there. I can't tell who it is. Those are the challenges. And with Intelligent Director and setting up multiple cameras throughout the room or multiple devices, this is going to allow us to get the best shot of anybody who's talking. And this is something that we're coming out with. We still don't have this; it's still not polished. However, that's the next challenge: is how do we make it a better experience in those larger spaces, and also get the best view. So we don't always, if it's somebody's talking and they're talking this way, you're seeing the side of my face. What if there was another camera that could pick me up? So these are the things that we're developing now.
Mhm. And we know the behavior in the room, right? It's a lot of it's content based, right? And as we talk to customers and analysts, what's really driving the meeting, and it's content, it's sharing. There's such a huge percentage of meetings that happen where someone is sharing content, and being able to look at different displays, different touch screens in the room to interact and to look at that content, and then allowing the cameras in the room, right, to focus on where people are engaged, right? I think that's one of the best things about what we're doing together on Intelligent Director. And for a long time, a 55-inch D10 touchscreen was the perfect huddle room device, right? But we're not stopping at huddle rooms, right? There's 30-foot rooms, right, that are happening every day. There's 50-foot rooms that are happening every day. And like you mentioned before, the camera technology has been developed to meet the needs of larger rooms where there's more people and more displays. And that's why I think, the next thing we're going to talk about, we'll see here that we debuted live on the show floor, is our D7X Pro. So when you get into the D7X Pro, it's a multi-camera device, right? If you can tell in the photograph here, we have our single mount camera that's still 4K. You can see up there, that top left image is your center camera with the wide angle picking up everyone in the room. But now we have 3, 4, 5 multiple cameras, right, all happening on this D7. And what's great is one of them is focusing on the front of the room. But one thing we've seen in Smart Gallery lately is that when you're using a single camera to pick up everyone in the room, people in the back are a lot, less, the more grainy, right? The resolution deteriorates the further you get back in the room. So what did we do? We put some long throw cameras in here. They're capable of picking up that 30, 50-foot person that's in that space, bringing them into Smart Gallery with Intelligent Director, and the resolution, right, is equal to participants that are closer. And I think when people see that, on the show floor, they see it in person, it's kind of mind blowing, right? That they turn around and that person you're seeing right there in that gallery shot is actually in another booth 50 feet away, right? And this camera technology is making them equal to people that are standing right in front of the board.
And Scott, I would say to those out there that this is seeing is believing on this one, because it's one thing for us to talk about it, but until you see it side by side with some of the other solutions and just how far those cameras can grab individuals, this was a challenge for us when we first started Smart Gallery. Is if someone's back there sitting, 30 feet back, what does that look like? And it's it's difficult for cameras to pick that up, especially when you have someone sitting only 5 feet away. But this really changes the game there.
Right. And to recognize Dr. Ford here in the chat, right? He is extremely excited because of the EDU applications that this brings, right? And we know those spaces are traditionally a lot larger than the meeting spaces that we deal with, on a business level, on an enterprise level. They're in large spaces, right? And to have this camera technology picking up students all throughout a large room, representing them the same, and then adding these tools to collaborate. I know that our higher ed and our EDU customers are just really ecstatic about having access to technology like this.
We've got some really great Q&A questions coming through on the D7X Pro as well. So what screen sizes will we have available for the D7X Pro?
So what you're looking at in the photo and our recommended size is 75-inch. So that's a 75-inch D7X Pro with our D10 view cameras that create that entire experience to give you a 5-camera Smart Gallery experience on a 75-inch. Another question is about multiple screens. So one thing that we've done with the new devices is bring triple screen support to that room. So you can use up to 3 of these D7X Pros together to create multiple display environments, which Zoom does really well, give you the tools to dictate that behavior, right? I want my meeting here, I want my content here, I want my speaker view here. So, one thing that you'll see is that 3-screen Zoom room experience that's really driving, that large room application and bringing the cameras and the tools to help support that large space.
Pretty cool. Yeah. And we, going into the D7X and the D7X Pro, one thing that we did in developing this next generation of what is our flagship all-in-one device is we overhauled the speaker technology inside. So it's now covering larger spaces with greater audio clarity. So there's a question, I think, from Stefan about external audio. It does have integrated speakers. So it comes with, right out of the box, speakers are built into it. It'll cover a medium to large size conference room handily on its own. But it does have the ability to connect to external speaker systems and audio systems as well.
And, Mark, a lot of customers are always surprised by the microphone range, right? We've done a lot to optimize the mics in the room, but now we're bringing the speaker, that thing is definitely on par with the cameras and the mics and everything. It's really a 360 experience for a larger space than you might be used to, considering D7 for that space.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody here on this call has watched some of our tours from Zoom headquarters, but we highlight the power of that microphone. Scott mentioned earlier, it's an array of 16 microphones, and it can't be taken lightly. I mean, there's been a lot of advancements, and we're always asked, do I need a lapel mic for instructors? Do I need ceiling, or table microphones? And the answer is no. When you hear how powerful that microphone is, it's quite impressive. So instructors, the net for that, or what's the value add for instructors, is that there's less on technology that they need to worry about. They could move freely and not have to worry about talking into a microphone or muting or unmuting. It's very, very powerful technology that exists in those arrays.
Oh, absolutely. So, a lot to look forward to, right? Reimagining these spaces, getting your guys' hands on the technology to help deploy multiple use cases. The future of this meeting experience and hybrid work, it's happening now. It's unfolding now. It's not anything that anyone needs to wait for. You can get your hands on this technology today, and we are more than happy to assist you in building those solutions with D10 representatives, with Zoom room representatives, right? We spend all of our time together making sure that your deployments are successful, and we'd love to follow up with you guys. So there's a QR code here on the screen. You can easily scan that with your phone. You can reach out to your Zoom rooms representative, your D10 representative, but we're here to set up a one-on-one experience. Use our Engage program to deploy a device on site with your Zoom room license, so you can really experience how powerful and amazing these joint solutions are.
And Stephen Sherbick, I saw your comment in the Q&A. Thank you so much for setting up the D10 Me and showing the workspace reservation. Seeing is believing, everyone. So just like Stephen said, put that out there. By the way, if you use the Zoom platform, you're not installing anything. You're just enabling workspace reservation. That's how powerful it is. And when the employee base comes back and they're seeing a live floor plan where they can touch and schedule something, it's really, really cool technology and super, super simple to set up. This is something that was not easy in the past, right? It was go get third-party software, integrate it into your calendar. I mean, it was a lot of work to be able to do this. We've really tried to simplify that down between the Zoom platform and the D10 devices. So seeing is believing, and we know you'll enjoy using virtual kiosk and workspace reservation along with all the other use cases you saw here today.
Yeah. And like you said, seeing is believing, but touching is believing as well. So, we deploy devices on site, so you really can get the full experience, and we're definitely here to help. So thank you so much again for joining us today. We hope to hear from you guys. We hope to help you plan a successful return to office and be the tools to help you return and deploy that hybrid work strategy.
Yeah, there are a couple of questions that we haven't addressed, but I think that they warrant a more one-on-one conversation. So what we'll do is, following this webinar, we'll go through the outstanding questions and set up meetings with you. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us this morning, and have a fantastic day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Jackson.